Welcome to Legendary Upside podcast / YouTube channel. My name is Pat Kerrane. You can follow all of my content at legendaryupside.com. Follow all of Sackreligious' content over there as well. Sack, how's it going?
It's going well. Excited to hop in a couple big boards today. It's been pretty fun drafting, honestly. If you asked me a month ago if I would be excited to draft the big board on January 31st, I would probably have told you I'm gonna take a little bit of a break. I've just done a lot of drafting this year. I think I was over 3,000 total teams drafted between regular season best ball and playoff best ball. So I was ready for a little bit of a break, but working on all the rankings and everything and getting the sidekick going for the big board just got me pretty hyped up to draft. So I've been enjoying it.
I've actually been enjoying it too. Yeah, it's been fun. It's always fun to have the rookies in there because it creates this whole new puzzle that we have to figure. We have to solve where to draft these guys, where everyone else is going to draft these guys. Like that's a mystery too, because we were putting together the rankings for the big board before we had any kind of ADP, and it's like part of me is like I want to draft this guy. Like I guess I would draft this dude in the 4th if you make me. I draft him. I'd much prefer to draft him in the 7th, but I don't want to fade him by sticking to the don't take him to the 7th. So seeing the ADP has been fun, and seeing how the ADP has been shifting has been fun. So let's go ahead and jump in to a big board. We'll draft at least one of these here on stream, and I'll be doing it with the leg up sidekick, so you guys can see that, which I don't have installed. But to do that, just go over to leg up, the installation guide, click install, continue, add, and we're good to go. Then we got it over here. Might need to authenticate it real quick, and then you're good to go. So we can go into a draft here, big board. And only waiting for 2 people. Beautiful.
All right. I see Bindles in the chat. How's it going, Bindles? We did put out a call to the Discord for some questions that people might have, and we got a lot of them. So I figure probably a good thing that we started in the 10 hole. We can maybe knock out a question or two before we get on the clock. This was one that I think is fun. Kind of goes to the point of what you're talking about from the context changing each slate. There might be things that are similar, like similar prices on players or archetypes, but it's all different every slate, right? It's just part of the puzzle pieces that fit together. So this one I liked. It's how should Ted McMillan's expected draft capital be viewed compared to last year's rookie wide receivers, where he's clearly a worse talent than Marvin Harrison Jr. and Neighbors, but will get similar capital. And then considering he's going in the 50s and not in the 2nd round, how are we viewing Ted McMillan here, I guess, both with respect to NFL draft capital and then what you have to spend on him in the big board?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say he's a wide receiver who's going to go top 10, and he's got a pretty intriguing skill set. Maybe not like the most complete NFL skill set, because I don't know like how he's not like a burner, that's going to consistently win deep. I don't think he's not huge like Mike Evans, so I'm kind of skeptical that he's like a big time downfield threat. I think he's going to be more of a dominant intermediate player. But in a lot of ways, he does look similar to like the Neighbors Harrison tier. I don't think he's quite there, but like I don't think he's like that far off. I would compare him to like Drake London as a type of, I mean, both kind of stylistically a little bit, but also like the strength of the bet is pretty similar to Drake London. And London went in a class with quarterbacks in it. He was very, very high in superflex drafts that year. So depending on your format, he might have even gone ahead of a Breece Hall in that year's dynasty drafts. And in best ball, I think the discount that we're getting on Ted relative to Marvin Harrison and Neighbors is pretty nice. Like I like Ted a lot at his cost.
Speaking of a guy that I know you like at cost here, one of the ways that we philosophically play these drafts is in the first round, we're really going to be pretty tight with ADP. I mean, someone egregious would have to be going in the first round for us to have a fade stance on them. But I know just when we were working on the rankings, we had Amon-Ra higher than where he goes based on ADP. So I do always enjoy getting a draft from the back end here because I feel like I get a guy that we really like relative to ADP, and I'm not trying to have a huge stand in the first round, but it does feel nice to get Amon-Ra that cheap.
It does. Yeah, it really does. I don't know. I mean, I don't really get why he's going 10th. We had him at 7th, like in the initial ranks. So I was kind of surprised to see the ADP where it is. So Sidekick likes McCaffrey, Bowers, McConkey is the top guys here. I'm gonna suggest we go Bowers.
I've been leaning into doing a lot of Bowers. Oftentimes here, I'll just do Bowers or G&T, whichever of the two are there.
Yeah. So Bindle's saying it's kind of because of Amon-Ra's discount sort of related to Ben Johnson leaving, which I kind of get, but I think it's a somewhat stable situation. Even way I talked about this on Ship Chasing last night, but it's like for your offensive coordinator who's widely respected to be leaving, it's a remarkably stable situation. You have a great offensive line. You have a great head coach who's aggressive and is actually an offensive-minded guy and is the guy who found Ben Johnson. And it seems like the new OC they're going to have is pretty well thought of as well. So, like, you'd have to be an idiot not to kind of go away from Amon-Ra, who's so clearly very, very talented. And also, even if you go away from him, it might not work because you have Jared Goff who's so dialed into him as well. So, biggest knock on Amon-Ra was like ceiling, and he just showed a massive ceiling. I think like a guy like Neighbors, you actually worry a little bit about the ceiling because of the quarterback situation. Like, does he have a quarterback who can facilitate a wide receiver one overall week, and maybe because he's amazing. But I'm like, man, I have a quarterback who's like treating this guy as a target hog. And pretty stable in terms of the other weapons and all of that. And Amon-Ra also clearly the number one guy there. So I like him more than Neighbors. Yeah, I would frankly probably take him over CD if the ADP had it that way. I wouldn't have any issues. But the way it is, I don't mind. I don't want to fade particularly CD and Collins. I'm actually willing to be like a little underweight Neighbors until we get some kind of quarterback. Because like when the Giants figure out the quarterback situation, do you see it as maybe his price lowering? Like this maybe bakes in some optimism that I don't know if it's warranted.
I don't.
Like,
I mean, I don't.
Sanders throwing him the ball. Are people going to be psyched about that or not?
I mean, it's not really worse than having Daniel Jones or Tommy DeVito or, gosh, who's the Packers? Tim Boyle. Tim Boyle threw passes to Malik Neighbors last year, so. Like it cannot get worse. It simply can't get worse. So he's not one that I don't really think there's a guy in the first round that I want to be light on here. I think they're all pretty good picks. And I think that there's enough players that are mispriced later in the draft that I don't need to get too fancy here. And it's not like I've never faded a guy in the first round. I'm just always going to click by ADP. Like the year where Kelsey and Eckler were going at 6 and 7, I had like 0% of them. And that worked out fine because those prices were bad. But there aren't really terrible prices here. Like, sure, I disagree that Amon-Ra's going, like, he shouldn't go this late.
That's a couple spots.
Yeah, it's a couple spots. Like the Kelsey and Eckler were like around too late, in my opinion. And so, or around too early. So none of these guys really necessitate a fade for me. And I'd rather just kind of spread out my bets in the first round and take advantage of the inefficiencies later.
Yeah. This is as early as I've seen Tyreek go, but I haven't been in the drafts the last like days.
He's climbing up a little bit. Yeah.
He's a guy we like more than ADP, but
not for long.
Well, I don't know. Maybe we still will. We do like him.
All right, so he's climbing a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I like both these running backs here. probably go Chase Brown. What
Yeah,
are your thoughts?
I'm into Chase Brown. He's been more of a fixture of the 2-3 turn than anything lately in the drafts I've been in. So
Yeah, and
I'm happy
you
to
got a
get
nice
him.
ADP value here. Yeah, to that point,
Yeah.
he's a little risky, obviously, but we know what we win when we win. If he is the guy there, it'll be pretty sweet.
I think that's
And then you can
actually
see the sidekick kind of pivots hard to wide receiver after we take Chase Brown. We have one wide receiver through 3 rounds, so it's structurally thinking receiver is the way to go here in the fourth, which I definitely agree with. Which receiver? Devontae Smith is interesting. Rashi Rice is now. Let's see. These are actually older. I should have uploaded a new rank. Xavier Worthy's the guy
I'm
by ADP. Rashi Rice, then Devontae.
so one thing I kind of like is I gotten Jalen Hurts in the fifth today a couple times, and I'm curious to see like if we can push him really
If we can
far.
pull it.
I don't know
Yeah.
why he's falling into the fifth. I already felt like this was a reasonable price. He wasn't like too cheap, but he also wasn't too expensive. So
Yeah.
I want to give us the chance to really benefit if Jalen Hurts falls all the way back to us in the fifth. I want to be really
I like
happy
it.
with that outcome.
A couple questions on the sidekick. Are custom rankings supported? Yes, they are. The default rankings just kind of auto update as we push updates, but the custom you upload yourself, and then you just got to keep on that. But yes, we support custom rankings for it. And just curious if you guys, what you guys, Coda like CMC if you click on. I do like CMC. They're based on the leg up rankings. So the leg up rankings and then ADP are the two inputs here that are driving it. And
Yeah,
as you
I
get through, there's some structural
both
stuff,
drafting
but
CMC.
we're both drafting CMC. I really like Bowers, and I think it was, it's fun to draft your own team. So we drafted Bowers in this one.
Yeah. I have fun
They're
drafting the
dynamic
players I
rankings.
like.
Yeah, they're dynamic rankings. So you're using them as an input, but Bowers is a very fun build. Someone commenting he thinks Bowers ADP is a bit rich. I mean, it's definitely expensive, but I don't know. I mean, his ceiling is about as high as it gets. I think at tight end, like he's generational tight
He's a
end
receiver.
prospects.
Yeah, he's not a
Yeah,
tight end. He's a receiver.
right.
He just
He's a
happens to
receiver.
gap all the other tight ends by 100 fantasy points. So
Yeah,
there is that small wrinkle.
I think he could be going significantly higher than this next year. Like I think he could be like a 106, 105 type of player.
When you think
On Underdog.
through the fantasy points per game advantage that Bowers gives you at the position, Saquon Barkley would have to score 40 a game to give you the kind of advantage that Bowers gives you. Like
Especially when
well,
you think
not
about the
40,
weekly
but it's
stuff.
like 30.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not 40, but weekly Bowers goes off. It's gonna be hard to. I mean, you're going to really want him because not many other tight ends are likely to score points in that particular week. And Bowers' odds of being the guy who spikes are pretty good. So
Yeah.
he could not single-handedly because you need to score a lot of points, but it could feel like he single-handedly got you through week 15 or week 16 or won you the tournament, frankly.
I think the easiest way to wrap your head around the Bowers price is remove the name, remove the position. He's Puka Nakua because he did what Puka Nakua did his rookie year. In fact, he beat it. He got more receptions on a worse team with a worse quarterback. Didn't score as many touchdowns because that was hard on the Raiders last year. It's pretty hard to score touchdowns on the Raiders. But it's Puka Nakua, and he's going later than Puka Nakua went after his breakout rookie season. And it also happens to be that you get to play Puka Nakua as tight end now. So
Yeah.
if anything, Bowers is too cheap.
Pepper Tony talking about Kittle's. I mean, Kittle I think is an awesome target as well.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean Kittle was on the winning BBM team if I'm not mistaken this year. Yes, you can find tight end scores elsewhere, but that's kind of one of the things that makes elite tight end good is that you can it's the kind of the middle class. If you're paying for stability at tight end, that's I think where it's bad. If you're paying for ceiling, then I'm into it. And if you're punting because there's not as much ability as people think year after year, I'm into that too. So this isn't an anti-late round tight end take. It's a pro Bowers has a massive ceiling take.
Yeah. I mean, I'll still draft a couple. Oftentimes it's Bowers. I'll take 3 tight ends in the big board since there's 20 rounds. and I'll throw 2 late guys in there that I think are just mispriced, because I can still, just because I have Brock Bowers doesn't mean that I can't benefit from having an additional tight end that's also a hit at their cost. Like if I get Zach Ertz at pick 200 and he comes back and pretend he has the same role, but he's 10% worse because of his age, right? He just gets a little older. It's still pretty.
This is part of it for me, is that I think Cousins and Darnold would both be pretty big boosts to Bowers. I mean, he had Ritter in week 15, which is about as bad as it gets. He was still, he was very productive with one of the worst quarterback situations, not the worst, but one of the worst quarterback situations in the league, and as a rookie tight end. So heading into year 2, he might have a massive quarterback upgrade, but I think it's almost anybody, like even Russell Wilson's an upgrade, I think. It's kind of a low bar for what a quarterback upgrade looks like.
The crazy
regression,
thing,
I'm betting on a year 2 breakout as opposed to regression. I mean, the talent, right? The talent on this guy is so clearly outstanding.
yeah, the crazy thing is, I feel like even if today we found out it's Gardner Minshew guaranteed 100% as quarterback again, like, cool, I'm super into Brock Bowers then. Like,
Yeah. This is probably where we disagree the most. I do think he could be like the 104 or the 105.
I think he'd be the 101. Yeah, it's not
maybe
hard.
not the 101 in
Well,
half point, but yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's his absolute ceiling by any means. You get him in the second round. All right. We got receivers here. Addison, Olave, Judy. I think you're known to not be the biggest Jerry Judy guy.
I've been drafting Jerry Judy, but Addison's one of my favorite picks in this range.
Addison's a really fun pick. Yeah.
You open up a really good late quarterback option with JJ McCarthy with Addison.
All right, let's go Addison.
Judy, the one wrinkle on Judy here is it's harder to stack him. You don't know who the quarterback's going to be. You probably dart throw a random rookie, or maybe one of the bridge veterans, but those are kind of shaky. But I'd still gladly take him if they give him to us here. So,
are you into Judy here?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Judy and Sutton are both fine for me.
I was thinking stacking wise, Sutton, but let's go Judy. It's not a day that we get to draft.
The other thing with Sutton is people are frothy for Bo Nix. Like the Bo Nix love is, I mean, it's justified, but he goes early,
Yeah. I like builds like this right now where you kind of go away from receiver a couple times early, but then you just like hammer it in these rounds.
Yeah, you do kind of need to get it. You need to get it here before the getting ain't good anymore. But yeah, I've been doing
stays okay. The getting doesn't get too bad.
It stays okay. Like you can add depth, no problem for a while, but it does get hard to have guys that you're really excited to be in your starting lineup week in and week out as you get later into the draft. But yeah, I have been noticing. I mean, one of the things you and I talked about when we were first kind of doing rankings and looking at how the landscape was going to shake out is this is not really a year, at least right now with the information we have, where we feel like we want to be hitting a bunch of late wide receiver dart throws, like in the 20th, 19th, and 18th round. It's more primed for, hey, there might be a couple running backs there that.
Although the funny thing is that there actually are some guys that I'm pretty.
I know. I've started taking like Jack Beck, and I started doing. Yeah, there's some. We'll save those for the end. We won't blow up all over.
Yeah. Well, one of them's on the thumbnail, so we'll get into it. This is an interesting one. Thoughts on Downs ADP? If it's not Richardson, he's pretty well priced, but it probably is Richardson. I think from like Ballard's perspective and Steichen's, like they're going to have a hard time surviving a full-blown Richardson benching. Maybe I'm wrong, but it would require them adding like a guy that they can hold up as the future, I think, going forward. So like they would probably really like to land a Fields or something, right? But I don't know if you're going to get a Fields. You probably have to pay enough for Fields where you're like, what's the plan? Are you going to start him? But like the guy that you can turn to, like a Flacco who's not old, would be your ideal. Like, okay, this guy actually showed something as the starter. You kind of want to find your Darnold, right? And I don't know if there is one of those guys outside of maybe Fields, who I think could run a similar type of offense as Richardson, but maybe better. So I don't know, but if we'll kind of see in free agency and leading up to it, kind of where their heads are at on that. But if it's like Richardson and kind of a whatever backup, I do think it probably is Richardson, unless he's just awful or obviously gets hurt.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely risk to Richardson, but yeah, I don't mind taking Downs even if you do think it's going to be Richardson, just because Downs is so good. And then if you're gonna stack him with Richardson and you play it as Richardson takes a step forward and Downs is good, that I like that. That's why stacking can be beneficial, because you're going to get an outsized win there. Like Downs, if Richardson's good, it seems hard. It seems hard for him to become a good passer, but lots of stuff can happen. Then yeah, you're going to benefit pretty substantially with the price on Downs and Richardson.
There was a question about Amarian Hampton, and then saying he thought Amarian Hampton was overpriced, and then general impression of the rookies. Feels like they're going too early, a lot earlier than years past. I mean, I don't think they're going earlier than. I mean, I guess Genty, and
but Genty's going where where Bijan went when he was a rookie. Right. Genty's going later than where Bijan went. If anything, this year is like kind of a step backwards in rookie cost that we've seen over the last.
It could be. It doesn't feel like a huge step forward anyway. To Hampton specifically, I mean, he does feel like the most locked in for round 2 capital, and there's a number of spots where a round 2 running back would be contributing right away. And he's also just like a downhill runner, big, going to be pretty athletic, and I think finds a role pretty quickly. Like I'm just not like that worried about Hampton as far as like, well, the NFL. He's got to land on the right spot. Like he doesn't have to land on the right spot. He doesn't need to be blocked.
Also, there's a million right spots this year.
There's a lot of right spots this year. Yeah, I like Igbuka.
I like Igbuka.
I think Myers is another really strong pick, given that we're betting on the Raiders to be functional. But Igbuka here is fun. And here's he's going. This is a guy who's probably going to go, and I think probably is light. Very strong chance to go in the first round. Ohio State guy, strong pedigree. Maybe not like the most high ceiling kind of archetype of receiver, but what if he's just really good at earning targets? Has dealt with really strong target competition and still been fairly productive. The NFL likes him, and you're getting him at 7'10", which is not outrageous, but it's not. It doesn't strike me as like, oh man, how could we be drafting this guy so early for a first round wide receiver? So at this point, the sidekick likes Jared Goff. And yeah, with Myers going off the board, I think we'd probably just do that.
Yeah, the only other thing I'd be looking at is, do we take Ramondre here? But I think Ramondre is a lot more replaceable than Goff is for us, given our build.
We pick again at 106.
Well, and we're just kind of out of good quarterback stacking options. Like if you look at our team, like we can't stack with Devonta Smith. We don't really know who to stack with Judy. Igbuka, I'm sure you'll make a case for Drake May to be stacked with Igbuka. And then we're waiting on, JJ McCarthy for Addison. So I like to, since we're kind of thin on quarterback stacks we've set up, I'd prefer just getting one, bird in the hand here. And that way we don't feel so forced later. It can be pretty hard to stack in the big board. So I like locking one up.
It definitely can be. The comment here, there's so many more rookies in the pool such being drafted than how many I think will actually have a fantasy impact. Fair enough. A lot of these guys are going to be zeros.
Same with veterans too. Like there's a bunch of players here. You don't even have to say rookies.
Well, not zeros, but how many impact? But you're trying to find impact players late in the season, and these rookies are your lotto tickets. They're your scratch off, the guys who can provide a lot of upside to your builds. I do think if you're taking a ton of rookies on any given team, that your odds increase that you're starting to stack zeros, which is a problem. So that's true. Like you need to think of them as like they're doing a thing for your team. But like, look, our team so far has one rookie as a wide receiver 5. I like that. I like that a lot, and we'll continue to add some more rookies too. But it's not like so far we're not really even counting on rookies for meaningful production. Now, if like Judkins had been there, I would have taken Judkins. But he went actually, yeah, about 4 picks before us. Obviously, if Henderson had been there, if Caleb Johnson, who went way ahead of us, had been there, like these guys, I think are pretty strong picks as far as rookie goes, because they have very good chances of contributing early for a rookie running back, given the strength of this class, where you could see probably Caleb Johnson, Amarian Hampton, and one of Judkins or Henderson go in the second round, or could be Henderson, Judkins, and Hampton, or kind of a mix. Like 3 of those 4 are probably going second round, and maybe all 4. And Genty's looking like a lock for the first round. So those guys, I think you can count on a little bit more for contributions early.
Yeah, I think that topic kind of dovetails nicely with a couple questions we got. We had questions about draft structure and how many rookies is too many on a team, and how your draft strategy changes in these super early drafts. Like, are we not as heavy on elite tight end since we can lean into 3 tight ends or more with 20 plus rounds? What are we doing here? The first thing I'll say is we'll probably pin an old article from last year that I wrote that was like a guide to way too early big board drafting. That's got some evergreen content there on roster construction and how many rookies should you be drafting. But in general, Pat, do you have like a rule of thumb for rookies, or is it really more a case by case thing?
I don't know if I have a set rule of thumb. It's kind of like I talked about, where you need to be thinking about how much early season production you have, and how much you're counting on these guys to contribute right away. Like if I feel like I'm taking more rookies than I usually do, then I start to look at some of these guys like Adam Thielen, who we had a comment earlier, says he has more football in him. And there were some rumors he might retire, but it sounds like maybe he's not going to retire. Like he's available very late, and normally not like a huge Thielen guy, but you're pairing him with some rookies. You can get guys who are like have starting jobs, like a Michael Wilson, a Gabe Davis. So I think probably still do have starting jobs. You can get those very, very late. You're hoping maybe they give you a spike week early in the season, kind of help your wide receiver room come along before some of these rookies really contribute. So it's just making sure you're building like a cohesive team that way. But yeah, do you have more of a rule of thumb?
No, not really. Not a rule of thumb. It's more about how strong I am at the position outside of the rookies. And then for some rookies, like for Genty, who's going to be a day one producer more likely than not, wherever he goes, he's going to get first round draft capital. I'm not even really treating him like a rookie, as far as needing production to help cover him. I think we're in a really good spot here.
What do you think about ETN here?
I think I would like to do Charbonnet first and then ETN around the turn.
Okay.
But if you're thinking that one of these picks you want to make a quarterback,
kind of wanted to go May.
Yeah, I thought you might. I'm okay going ETN into May then if you want.
Let's go ETN into May.
I'm a Charbonnet slappy, but
look at this team. We got Chase Brown, who's potentially
right.
What if he is in a committee to start? So he might not it's a kind of a risky running back one. And then we Charbonnet I like a lot, but is more of just like the premium handcuff guy.
Yeah.
So ETN is also risky, but the upside is that he's just like maybe 65% of snaps. He'll split with Bigsby or someone else. But the offense is improving, and he's the lead back on an offense you like. I also thought we'll see what Spooky Bear does here, because he has one quarterback, but I saw he had Harrison, so I figured he'd take Kyler. That makes a lot of sense for him. And yeah, look at his team. So he's got Brown, Harrison, Evans, Olave, Golden. That's wide receiver 5. Genty.
Yeah, starts with
Walker,
Genty.
Pollard.
Yeah, that's a strong team.
That's like a very strong. It's a very strong team generally, and I think a strong way to build in rookies.
Yep.
I like May here a lot.
Now you get May, and in this universe, the New England Patriots might draft Emeka Egbuka. It's Drake May's number 1 weapon now, and that's one of the things that I do like to do with.
We hope
guys.
We hope so.
Yeah. I would. Yeah, I think they're both the favorites. I think Byron's more the favorite than Chase Brown is. I just would be surprised if the Bengals, the Bengals went into last season and they probably knew less about Chase Brown as a player, but they clearly the plan was not Chase Brown bell cow to start, right? It only happened because of the Zach Moss injury, and then they saw what they had in him. I'd be surprised if they go into this season with Plan A being Chase Brown bell cow and we don't need to add anyone. Plan A is probably like, let's bolster the position a little bit. We don't, because they from how they deployed Chase Brown, it really felt like they didn't think they had anything behind him. It's not like we saw very much Travion or gosh, who's their other
I don't even know if Chris Evans is still there.
yeah, Chris Evans, thank you.
Khalil Herbert, they
Khalil Herbert, yeah, but
Yeah.
they didn't deploy those guys hardly at all. So it would surprise me if they don't add to the position. But
you should anticipate them adding,
good.
but that still might be. I mean, in the same way that Kyron had Blake Corum get added, and they still went with Chase,
Right.
he'd still be live to be very effective. But it'd be, I think it's unrealistic, and not that it can't happen, but I mean, if you're in on Brown, I think you should still brace yourself for them adding someone.
Yeah,
and it's
honestly,
possible
if
to add
that,
like a Najee or something. Like you could see
Oh,
something
God.
like that. I know that would be frustrating, but it's very realistic.
as we talk about it, I'm kind of into the idea of them adding someone that people think is a really bad sign, and I want to get Chase Brown at a discount. Like, give me Chase Brown in like the 5th round because they added someone terrible. Like
That's
they
one
added.
thing about the rookies is that this is not a good free agent running back class. It's Najee Harris, it's Aaron Jones, it's J.K. Dobbins, Rico Dowdle. It's really, there's not a lot of guys, and I don't think NFL teams are going to be excited about this class of free agents. I mean, maybe the Cowboys bring in Aaron Jones and say he's going to be their workhorse or whatever.
That's such a Cowboys move.
But most teams, I think it's the opposite of last year. Last year, the running back class wasn't generating any excitement. As excited as we are about this running back class, it seems like kind of the real football analysts, the scouts, the guys kind of not worrying about the fantasy stuff. They're very excited about this class too. Sometimes there's like a disconnect, where the fantasy community loves a position and the NFL is like, yeah. But this year, it seems like everyone's on the same page. It's a deep running back class. And I think we're talking about guys coming in not just to depth charts that are like empty right now, but might feel pretty empty in May too,
Well, I believe that we've got an article that Daniel is working on that topic of what running back rooms around the league look like, what landing spots could be for rookies, and really what's available out there. I think that type of framing is really helpful. I mean, we did a ton of work. I mean, we've been working on our big board rankings for over a month at this point. And so diving into each backfield, what the team has invested, what their draft capital's like, contracts of the existing running backs on the roster really helps to illuminate what all the opportunities are. I'll just say, I think we're going to get a lot of rookie running backs that land in pretty favorable spots based on what's available in the league right now.
Yeah, Mike saying McShay thinks there'll be more running backs drafted this year than we've seen in at least a decade. I think you're right. Not only are there a lot of guys who look like pretty solid prospects, but they're big. There's a lot of big running backs in this class, and I think that size will help NFL teams envision them as their starter. Like this guy, maybe not week 1, but this guy, we're going to kind of work him in over the course of the season. We would expect that he is kind of carrying the load for us down the stretch. There's a lot of guys, even like Devin Neal, who's kind of like a Bucky Irving type in the sense that no one expects him to be super athletic, but he will be, I think he'll be like game day athletic and just very productive. He's 220 pounds. So it's like, you forgot the part where you're supposed to weigh 195 or whatever. And yeah, you look at like Caleb Johnson, very big. Judkins, very big. Omarion Hampton's like 220, maybe even 225. Genty's, like 215, 220. Scadaboo is a big back, and he catches passes. He just went. Henderson, not a huge back, but he's going to have potential game-breaking speed and starting to generate a lot of buzz. So, yeah, it's a class where you could see not all these guys are going to hit, Not all of them are going to land in good spots. Some of them land in super frustrating spots, but it's a pretty good class for guys to get opportunities right away, and a pretty good time for the league, I think, as well. All right, so let's see. We got one guy here. Now, we could have Spooky Bear. What do you think about just taking Lawrence here and getting
we have JJ McCarthy open later, so it depends
that's
on
true.
how. Yeah.
What about Ingram? I think Ingram.
Yeah, I'm good with Ingram, and then we're just kind of done at tight end.
Yeah, we're done.
There's no real benefit. I mean, even if we take one of these rookie upside throws that we really like later, it's like there's just so little benefit to us now, especially with the profiles of both these guys where they're target earners. They get lots of targets.
I think I would grab Lawrence. I'm feeling pretty good about our receivers.
Yeah, we're strong at receiver, and this part of I run into this a lot in drafts, but this part of the running backs is just kind of dead. Like I'm into Trey Benson, but it's a bit of a reach here for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm totally fine with Lawrence. The other thing I would do here is Benson.
Benson's a good pick here too. I kind of like. We don't have to go Lawrence. If you want to go Benson, I'm down. We do have McCarthy.
Yeah, I kind of like Benson just because we're gonna run out of.
Yeah.
The way I see this team going is I bet we're adding 2 or 3 really late running backs. So kind of counting them as like, this guy's only worth like a third of a running back, like we're going to get like a RJ Harvey or a, Martinez or something late. And then it's like, between the two of you might count as a half a running back.
Yeah. There are some decent enough values late, but it's a good point that we should probably take care of one of the running backs there.
There's a good question that someone had in the Discord. There's a couple actually.
And Neil's already gone. Neil's going early and earlier.
I know Neil's screaming up, which is really frustrating to me. I liked him a lot, but it's hard to get him now. I think Neil has become a full-on Slappy pick. The Slappies are very than Neil.
Kind of we're all looking for the guy who did this sort of thing. I've been talking him up recently, and he's also had a pretty strong Senior Bowl, and I think weighing in at 220.
Him weighing in at 220 opened the floodgates, right? Yeah. Okay, this question, people asked about concern for Rashee Rice. Someone else asked about concern for Godwin. Another person asked for injury concern in general. Are we too high on injured guys? How do you bake that in?
We did come down a little bit on Rice and Godwin as we're kind of seeing more from some of the injury guys that they were a little less bullish than I had originally thought they were on Rice and Godwin. I think especially Rice. Best I could tell, here's the layman's. I did my own research on this. He's got damage to basically the back left of his knee was the final diagnosis. Wasn't just a LCL only. It was the PLC, posterior lateral corner. And that's kind of where, and they also repaired his hamstring, I think, and that's where the hamstring connects to the knee, from what I understand. So there's like a bunch of stuff in there, and Reed said there was, quote, damage. So it's like, it's not so clean, that's it. The hope was it was like clean LCL, and maybe it's not. Murkier than I think we were hoping. So we cooled off a bit on Rice as a result. And then Godwin, it's a little bit murky there as well with the dislocated ankle and ligaments probably involved, but no one seems to really know. I still think both are like okay at ADP, but maybe not like aggressively targeting. Rice will probably also get suspended. Although if you're worried about his early season, I don't want to double count that, right? Like,
right.
Oh, he won't be the same to begin the season. Well, he might be.
He's not playing. So his 0.0 projection in week 1 while he's suspended, we got to dock that for injury. So we'll take it down about 10%. Now the 0.0 is 0.0.
Right. So, I think Rice is fine where he's going, but if it was the injury outlook was looking like a little more bullish or a little more clear cut, would have been comfortable being pretty aggressive on him. And now they were slightly behind ADP as of today.
Yeah. And I'm with you with kind of slowing our roll on these guys. They were they look like fair to good prices if you're rosy on the injuries, and then they look like maybe fair to slightly overpriced if you're bearish on the injury. And because we have so much time, there's a lot more information we're going to get on these guys, right? I don't think you need to just accept all of the risk here for like a small win. If Rice was going in like the 8th, it's like, oh my gosh, he's going to be injured and suspended, we'd be hammering it, right? But for right now, I think it's the prudent way to play it is like sprinkle it in a little bit, but you don't need to be overweight on it, and just kind of see what the market does and wait till we get more information. But we really consider, what is the really bad outcome, when we're thinking through the range of outcomes. What happens to Chris Godwin if he's just totally not the same from injury? Like, what does he actually project for if he's just gimpy Godwin? It's week 8 and the guy just looks like he's dragging his leg. Like, what actually is that going to look like from a fantasy production standpoint? And so we consider all that when we're doing our rankings for the season.
Look at the Justin Jefferson guy. He's got Purdy and Richardson. Was kind of wondering if we could sneak McCarthy by him, maybe.
Yeah, the hard part. So here's what I'd say: we can either do McCarthy here. I like Jalen Wright and Algier quite a bit.
Also like Sampson. I think Sampson's a strong pick.
Sampson's fun too. He's a chat favorite. I know a lot of people. Of the questions.
Let's do Sampson. I think we would like to get some. Like take a swing at running back a little bit. Some rookie upside.
A little earlier than the total dart throw guys who might be day threes.
Exactly. He's the highest by ADP as well. So
and then I think we just probably pull the trigger on JJ McCarthy here. But one of the questions we had in the Discord
Restrepo I would have argued for if he was back. He's had a strong Senior Bowl.
Yeah. No, he's one of my highest owned. I think he might be my highest owned wide receiver right now. He just was falling often. So, yeah, McCarthy makes sense here because really you just start to run out of quarterback options. I mean, certainly guys that we could stack, we're just kind of out. And in the big board, like securing 3 quarterbacks that are all going to be starting that you can get stacked up, I think is a pretty good thing. And there's just so much ambiguity, like your opportunity cost of passing on a Jalen Coker here, like, okay, we passed on Jalen Coker. What if we end up just taking Adam Thielen 3 rounds later, or Wan'Dale Robinson 3 rounds? You talked about Michael Wilson, who's one of my favorite late round, like, hey, this is a guy with a job type clicks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wan'Dale Robinson, also a man with a job, who I believe had 100 receptions last year. Can you fact check me on that?
You'll have to fact check yourself.
Oh, I just click Wan'Dale and put him in the queue, and we can open up his little.
You can see, yeah. I was like, I'm not gonna.
Oh, he's on the sidekick. He's like the 5th or 6th guy down, but yeah.
Let's see.
93 receptions.
93.
So close to 100. Yeah, pretty good for where he's going. Like, and pretend the Giants get a little bit of an upgrade at quarterback or on offense in general.
Hard not to.
You throw me a couple Wan'Dale Robinson touchdowns, baby, we got a stew going.
Yeah, Jacoby Myers is another. He just every year undervalued.
He's perpetually, yeah.
This is an interesting question. Uncertainty with Rice, uncertainty with Kelsey, uncertainty with the Chiefs running back. Shouldn't Xavier Worthy be an early 4th round pick? I think there's an argument for that. The question to me, when you're talking about that price, is like, how good is the player, and then can the player? And I've gotten into trouble. Like I was taking some Christian Kirk last year, and then you go. Speaking of Jacoby Myers, isn't he just a Jacoby Myers, like Jacoby Myers on the Jaguars? So I want to be careful of taking now Worthy's second year player, 1st round pick, fastest guy ever at the combine, plays with Patrick Mahomes. So I don't want to say the ceiling's not there, but this isn't like a ceiling argument to me. This is more about floor. Like he's like, or median maybe, that he's gonna like most likely, he's gonna see a good role. But he does have ceiling components to the profile. So yeah, maybe we are being a little bit too cautious on Worthy. I don't know. He hasn't like really popped yet to where you go, oh man, this guy's going to be a star next year. But the profile, when you zoom out a little bit is pretty intriguing.
Yeah. I mean, when I look at our inputs on the Worthy ranking, he feels pretty appropriate to me. Like I think we're pricing in the upside of Worthy is the guy. I think we've got that baked in pretty well to our price for him. You have to consider there's a lot of good wide receivers that go right around that range. Like the third round's kind of rich. Like if you look at T. Higgins, Garrett Wilson, Tyreek Hill, like there's a lot of opportunity costs. DJ Moore,
Well, you
like
said fourth round. So right around where we took Devontae.
early fourth. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
okay.
why didn't we take Worthy over Devontae? I think we could have.
We could have. Yeah,
definitely could have.
there. I think the sidekick would have told you.
Zach had the bright idea to try to get Jalen Hurts, who went 2 picks later.
Hey, I got him in the 5th a couple times today, so
yeah, that would have been sick. Yeah,
Super Bowl. I kicked myself earlier.
That's fair.
I kicked myself earlier today because I did this thing, but I passed on Devonta Smith. I think I took Mike Evans. It was like Mike Evans or Devonta Smith were the 2 top guys. I passed on Smith, and then they got Hurts all the way back. It's like, oh shit.
Jaden Higgins is pretty fun.
Yeah, Higgins is great here. We don't have a ton of rookies. He just feels like a slam dunk. And when we've got a guy like Drake May, who's not explicitly stacked, but we feel confident the Patriots are going to be adding at that position, I like adding rookies and free agents.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is, if you've watched, we followed the sidekick fairly closely. This is kind of where I would start to sometimes mix it up a little bit more depending on the team that we've built. And I think with a running back room like this, I actually do want to go like a little bit more rookie heavy, or a little bit like kind of a mix of like, I think this guy has a role / I think this guy could be a smash. So, Javonte's fine. What about Eckler here? Eckler are the 2 guys I think interesting.
Yeah, so with RJ Harvey, I like RJ Harvey a lot. I've got a lot of him. I think you do Eckler here because, if in 3 months I told you, between RJ Harvey, DJ Giddens, Brashad Smith, Martinez, like RJ Harvey was the one you wanted the least, you wouldn't be surprised at all. You'd be like, okay, that makes sense. And so it's like, if we miss out on RJ Harvey, it's like, whatever. There's some other rookie here that's kind of a similar tier of bet that we can take later. But Eckler is kind of right now we're building in the floor for like, the Chase Brown stuff didn't break our way. Travis Etienne didn't break our way. Trey Benson, still a backup. Dylan Sampson, going to take some time to emerge. So Austin Eckler is us saying, we are not going to take a stone 0 at our RB2 spot in weeks 1 through 6. We're going to get those 8 points and we're going to love them,
And Javonte, who was at the top, feels more like in the middle, where like you're kind of adding him, like, I don't know, like he's like a little risky, but he's not like a total dart throw. But like, I don't feel like I have necessarily a floor. He's more like you're heading into free agency, another free agent. That's not particularly exciting, but you head into free agency, you end up somewhere that like, yeah, we're kind of using this guy as an early down dude, and he has a little more juice than he did last year. But he's like he's kind of middle of the road, like not the highest upside guy, not the lowest floor guy. Where some of these rookies, the floor is that they might not make a team.
I think it's hard for Javonte too, because when you consider the type of teams that would be in the market for a guy like Javonte, they're probably in the market because they're so destitute at running back that it's like Javonte is a free agent acquisition and we add in the draft too. And so then you're trying to hit a parlay of Javonte Williams is more talented than the rookie and maintains the role, that's a little scary to me just with what we've seen from Javonte. Now I don't think I've actually taken Javonte yet this year, but it again comes down to like a roster construction thing. A lot of the time I'm more wanting the pure unadulterated upside where, like you're saying, I think the ceiling on Javonte's capped. So you're like, let me get a slightly higher floor, but probably not as high as Eckler. And then let me have a lower ceiling than like RJ Harvey or Jordan Mason or Brashard Smith, Damian Martinez. And then it's like, man, that doesn't fit super well with the way that I like to be built at this point. But if you totally punted running back and you're like, God, I need warm bodies. Like, I feel like doing stuff like Javonte, Austin Eckler, and then closing out with 3 more of these dart throw running backs isn't the worst way to play it. And and I kind of talk about this concept in the way too early draft strategy guide that we can pin over on Leg Up, so you can see that article from last year. But I talk about, knowing that we're probably going to have some dead spots on our team. A lot of people talk about, oh, you don't want dead spots in the playoffs. It's like, buddy, I got news for you. We're drafted in the big board. There's going to be some dead spots on every team. And so it's how do we try and make our teams the most resilient to those dead spots? And that's a topic that we cover there that I think is pretty insightful if you haven't really thought through the math and the roster construction behind that.
I'm going to add it to the description here. I'll put it in the chat. I'll put this article you mentioned in the chat if people want to check it out, and throw it in the description as well.
There's another good player question here, and some of these guys I think are kind of fun. Wanted us to touch on the sophomore players, specifically guys that were off the summer drafting radar and got some productive playing time, like Jalen Coker, Jordan Whittington, Malik Washington, Michael Penix, or guys that didn't get as much of a shot for injury or other reasons, like Jonathan Brooks, Blake Corum, Trey Benson, Marshawn Lloyd, et cetera. There's a long list of guys that never worked out here, but what are your thoughts on some of these guys that either produced but they weren't on our radar last year, or didn't produce but maybe have an excuse that we might be able to tell ourselves?
Let's pick real quick and then we'll dive it. So we want Wilson. We need to take him now because the Kyler drafter's back here. And I think we probably just take Wilson.
Yeah, guy with job is pretty good here.
Guy with job is pretty good here.
But we also might just be done at 7. If we take Wilson, we're done at 7 receivers. Okay. The other thing you could do is, there's 2 rookies that we could.
Yeah, I want to grab one of the rookies.
Yeah, since we're only going to have 2 tight ends, we might have a little more room at both wide receiver and running back. So,
you're welcome, Spooky Bear, at the 12 hole. I think he was watching earlier anyway.
Yeah, I think Michael Wilson's a great pick. So
yeah.
But for these second year guys, what are your thoughts on them?
I think one thing. So last year I got myself in a little bit of trouble taking a ton of Izzy Abanikanda, because I'm like, locked in. He's the number 2 there, and this doesn't necessarily just apply to the second year guys. I think any backups, Roshan Johnson, Tank Bigsby, these guys look like they could be very strong picks in Best Ball Mania, but we don't actually know for sure that they're the number 2s this year. And so you want to be, I think, careful about how many times you're taking them over the course of the big board. Not that they're not draftable, but that if you end up with like a huge bag of one of them, it could get really ugly. Oh, Michael Wilson's still here. Do you want to do that?
Well, I think we just do that. Yeah.
All right. I wanted to take Tez. That's
why. Wow, I have not been able to convince myself to click Tez Johnson.
Oh, I love Tez. Tez is on the thumbnail, brother.
Oh God, I know. It's just he's maybe. I mean, they have him listed at 160. What do you did he weigh in?
He's weighed in. Yeah, at 156.
156. I knew 160 had to be fudging it just a little bit.
Yeah, he's 156 pounds.
A couple rolls of nickels in the pocket.
I'm fully in on Tez, man. It's been a little bit of a journey where I was. Oh, and he went with the next pick. We should have taken what Michael Wilson. Are you kidding me? Well, I'm just kidding. But Tez is obviously really, really small, limits the upside. But like he's not like uber productive. But some of the numbers look pretty good. And then he's just like so twitchy. He's one of these guys who sits down. He comes over the middle, zips the ball in kind of a boring little route, and it's like maybe he gains 7 yards, but then he's just upfield immediately.
It's very safe Flowersy in that part of his game reminds me of Flowers. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And I think he's going to be a slot only guy. I think we're talking like 65% of the snaps, or 65% route participation. But I think it's kind of in a Josh Downs way where it's like maybe this dude's just really good at football. And yeah, it sucks that because Downs is kind of like he will play bully ball. It's like, I wish I wish you had 80 Mitchell's build. I would, like, can you guys consider swapping bodies? Because it would be really great for your production. But Johnson's going to be limited by his size for sure, but is a 200th pick in a best ball draft. Like, man, I think he's going to be drafted with some capital. I would be surprised if he went past the 4th round. I don't think he's I think he is live to go 2nd round.
Wow.
I think
okay.
he's live to go 2nd round.
All right. I had not seen that bullish of a draft capital projection on him.
He just crushed the Senior Bowl. Like everything I read, listened to is like, dude, Tez Johnson, like, I know he's 156 pounds, but like he was uncoverable. He performed well against press coverage. The speed was very evident. The agility, the burst, and I think, given that Tank Dell did well at 10 pounds heavier, crazily enough, but he, had a great rookie season. He's a little bit of a different player than Dell. He is more of a true slot, but still, the weight red flag is similar, and I think teams are viewing it like, at what point am I? I mean, I think a 2nd round pick would be rich, but like a 3rd round, 4th round pick, I think that's where he goes. And we're talking about, like, give me a couple spike weeks, the whole season, ideally at the end of the year, but a couple times, score 23 points, like, and I think he can do it because I think he can break off some. I mean, he will. Now, he's got some Tyler Lockett in him. Well, he knows he's small, so like he will like slide.
He'll slide. Good though.
He'll straight up slide. Yeah.
I don't want you going toe to toe with a guy who's 50 pounds heavier than you.
Yeah. So I'm kind of in. I'm kind of in.
All right, I'm gonna have to start clicking some Tez Johnson. You like him better than Beck?
Yeah, I do. I think it might be Betch.
Betch. Okay.
I've heard it both ways. All right, let's double thumbnail this. Brashad Smith. No. Forgot we took Michael Wilson. We're supposed to double thumbnail, man. Brashad Smith, but another big time Senior Bowl winner.
Yeah.
Brashad Smith.
He was one that started. I was like starting to come around to him before the Senior Bowl, and now I'm like, damn it, I should have drafted more of him before the Senior Bowl happened.
Yeah, he's converted wide receiver. Kind of this year's Tyrone Tracy is the bet. Is this year's Tyrone Tracy, converted wide receiver, but he like impressed people as a runner at the Senior Bowl and as a receiver, and he's not like tiny. I think he's around 200. So, probably like in a committee and not like absolutely crushing as a rookie, but guys who can do a lot of things sometimes end up pretty productive rookies, like a Michael Carter, something like that. I think is a plausible outcome for him. Obviously, now, in an empty backfield. Gabe Davis, Jalen Noel, another big Senior Bowl.
I was going to say Jalen Noel. I noticed you had moved up in the ranks after the Senior Bowl.
We already took Gabe Davis. His name's Michael Wilson.
Yeah, we took Michael. Yeah, we took Michael Wilson already.
Yeah, let's do this.
I like taking the additional upside throw here on Noel.
Yeah, also this year's Gibson. Tez to Seattle would be kind of funny because he is kind of the Lockett type.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of feels like he's going to go to the Broncos to be reunited with his adopted brother, Bo Nix, and then Sean Payton will never let him on the field because he's not 6'3", 220 pounds. Yeah. That's all that Sean Payton wants to see in his wide receiver spot.
Yep. We can go back and review this in a second, but I want to jump in another big board because I have a bit of a hard out here coming up.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can take a look quickly at this one. So yeah, Jared Goff. Let's see. He's going to boot me out of it when it ends. Jared Goff, Drake May, JJ McCarthy. Very nice quarterback room. 3 quarterbacks, obviously a little bit nicer because you don't know the buys, and so we protect ourselves there. And then also, you got 2 pocket passers and May, who I think will be pretty damn productive this year. But nice to have a 3 quarterback with the prices we paid. Running back room, we're living on the edge for sure. Chase Brown, hopefully was still a workhorse. Travis Etienne, hopefully still a starter. Trey Benson, hopefully has some kind of role in year 2. Dylan Sampson, I think could go round 2, probably round 3. But some teams really like Dylan Sampson, a speedster, not tiny. He's like 200 pounds. In some ways, the Bucky, where you're like betting on an undersized guy to have a good role as a rookie. Austin Eckler should help if some of these guys kind of flame out. RJ Harvey and Brashard Smith, 2 rookie flyers that catch passes. So they're both pretty interesting late round guys. Amon-Ra, Devontae, Jordan Addison, Jerry Jeudy. And then we get some rookies and Emeka Egbuka and Jaden Higgins. Higgins started the Senior Bowl slow and ended up having an impressive week. Ultimately, it sounded like Michael Wilson to pair with our Trey Benson. Little mini bet on the Cardinals. And then Jalen Noel, who's actually a little correlated with Jaden Higgins. They went to the same school. So if one of them's good, maybe they're both really good. And Brock Bowers and the continually underpriced Evan Ingram. How you feel about that one?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I've got a lot of Bowers and Ingram, and I do like them together because then I'm just done at the position. I don't need to spend anymore. And having those extra dart throws is fun.
Come on, man.
I mean, I see it in my mind's eye. I don't want that to happen. It sounds like the worst thing, but it also sounds like a really likely thing.
Yeah. All right, so this draft's already underway. I did want to mention that. All right, well, hang on. Let's take Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, I'm good with Gibbs here. The other thing that we're at the spot where at the 2-3 turn, we're going to have a couple running backs that we really like. So if you wanted to, I mean, you can go running back from this spot. But yeah, I don't really need to pass on Gibbs.
Let's go Gibbs.
Sometimes I do like to mix it up and get a wide receiver from this spot, just so at the 2-3 turn I can hit on 2 running backs. Yeah. Because sometimes you'll get Christian McCaffrey all the way back in the second round, and then you can do something like CMC Breece Hall.
You also have McBride, who I like taking in a second. Yeah. So you can, but I've done stuff where I will go like running back, tight end, running back, and then obviously you're going to be. But that's honestly one of the reasons I do like draft the sidekick is that like you're not going to forget that you need to take receiver. You have a tool that's like, hey, kind of think the receivers are boosted now. Speaking of, in the description, I put in your article, Sack, but also info on the sidekick. And burying the lead here a bit, for the big board, in the summer, the sidekick covers DraftKings and Underdog. And obviously there's a ton of tournaments going on both sites. So you can get in quite a bit of volume. Right now, we just have the big board and the little board and, the bigger board and the biggest board, right? Like all that stuff. So the monthly price in honor of the big board launching is $99. Just changed it today. So that's half of what it was for playoff best ball, where you get the whole thing kind of for a month. But given that there's like less volume available for drafting right now, and here we are, January 31st, still drafting, still firing, but wanted people to have a chance to get in there and give it a whirl. So drop the monthly to $99 if you want to check that out. If you do like it, I would consider canceling and getting the yearly because even at $99 for a couple months here, it'll quickly pay for itself over the course of the year because it covers the big board and it covers playoff best ball. And it obviously covers the heart of the summer in Best Ball Mania as well.
Yeah, glad we're running a little big board sale. Want to give people the opportunity to try it out. Children yearn for the mines, men yearn for the drafts.
It's an apt comment on the 31st of January. Well, here we are.
This is what I'm talking about, right? Like you get Derrick Henry to fall back here.
I think we do it. I think we I think we take
too.
the big dog.
I think so too.
Look, we got to beat the allegations that we only take wide receivers.
Yeah, okay? No, we're flexible drafters. We take the values that are available to us in the landscape.
Yeah. So here we are. Running back start. Oh, I don't know what's coursing through my veins right now.
Oh, Pat, are you okay?
Unfamiliar feeling. Yeah. The T is skyrocketing. So let's see. Chase Brown, round 3 and done.
The hyper fragile.
Hyper.
I had
Yeah.
I had one the other day that started, I believe it was Bijan in the first round, then McCaffrey in the second round, and then I got Chuba all the way back in the fifth, and I just called it. I said, "All right, that's what I'm
Wait, so say
sticking
that
with."
again.
I got Bijan, CMC, Chuba.
You didn't do a fourth?
I did like some really late,
Yeah.
random rookie that I can't even name right now.
That's when I reached for Devin Neal in the elite.
Yeah.
Running back room done.
No, I think you can do some fun hyper fragile stuff right now though. It's definitely possible.
You definitely can. Yeah.
I think you really gotta be comfy getting pretty gross at tight end then, and making sure you don't get boxed out at quarterback, because you really gotta hammer wide receiver in the middle. Just to make sure you've got guys that are people that could actually fill your starting lineup week to week. I mean, there's only so far you can get just taking guys that are only, pure spike week type flyers.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to get boxed out at receiver, but I don't know. I mean, in a sense, the hyper fragile I think can include Trey McBride, and then it maybe is like a double running back.
That's true. But I
think Higgins here is nice.
Oh yeah, I love getting Higgins here. I was gonna say I'm really happy with either Higgins or JSN being our wide receiver one. Those are both pretty fun.
They're both very fun. Yeah.
And now T. Higgins, another free agent wide receiver, another person for you to make the case that we draft Drake May because he's stacked with T. Higgins in this universe, clearly.
I mean, it's gonna happen, right? We gotta get in front of it. We gotta get the correlation, which is harder to build in. Dorito knows where we're going.
Yeah. I mean, I do a decent amount of Drake May with random free
Dorito,
rookies.
Did you get that team through? This is the guy with the absolutely outrageous Eagles stack. Is that live?
Oh yeah.
In the DK $20? I was thinking about you after the first couple of rounds and thinking it probably wasn't, because the Eagles weren't scoring a ton of points, but you got Barkley, so
yeah, you're just praying that you got some good pod luck. Oh, it didn't make it past wild card. That's devastating.
Man, sorry, dude. Sorry. Jelly Boy, these aren't 45 round drafts, so we don't need to stack up Jalen Polk. Okay.
Yeah, maybe when we get into those the 30 round format that you guys have done on ship chasing a couple times, someone can throw a Jalen Polk tribute pick.
It's a little rich, but
yeah.
That's interesting. It didn't feel good nor bad to tack on May or tack on Polk. I felt a little bad. I had too much Jalen Polk, so it still feel a little bad to me.
Yeah, I had a good amount of Polk last year.
DJ Chark had a total disappearing act as a rookie and then came on. Quentin Johnston was about as big as bust. Honestly, he was less of a bust than Polk probably, but
he was less.
Yeah, Polk is just this year's QJ. We'll see. I want to see what the depth chart is, though, man. If they don't add people and they're like, no, we like Polk, then okay. But dude, I mean, they could bring in free agents and guys in the draft.
Yeah, it could be Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, Emeka Egbuka.
Yeah, and I don't think the Patriots have to give him another shot because they kind of Vrabel coming in. It's like maybe they hadn't technically changed their GM or whatever, but it changed.
He's probably allowed to just cut bait on guys that he does not think are good.
Vrabel has free reign for sure.
But man, if Jalen Polk is currently in his QJ arc, that is going to be hilarious. Just so comical.
Yeah. Polk did say he had the best hands in the league.
The lie detector test has determined that was a lie.
Yeah, it was a rough season for Polk. Rough season for a lot of Patriots, though, to be fair. All right, what are we doing here? We got
How mad are you going to be that I suggest Devonta Smith again to get the Jalen?
No, we're taking Tet because we don't want her for structure.
You can get Tet in the fifth. I promise you.
At 51?
Well, now that I say it, he's going to get sniped.
We're not getting Tet in the fifth.
All right.
We're taking Tet now.
All right.
We want the upside of a dude just dominating targets down the stretch. and I don't think Smith is that guy.
I think
And
I've gotten some Tet in the 6th, but I'm fine taking him here. But you'd be surprised. A lot of these rookies like Tet, Igbuka, like all these guys that go the earlier rookie receivers, they fall a bunch. You know who doesn't feel like they fall though is the early rookie running backs. That's the one where I feel like if you're not getting them near ADP, good luck. I think like once in a blue moon, I'll get a Quinshon Judkins fall to me. But
Hurts want the next pick too.
Okay.
Save yourself a grumpy Pat there. Playing twice for Hurts. Just the next pick.
I'm chasing the dragon after I got him in the 5th today. I was like, really man, that's crazy.
This is my life now.
150 little or big boards, and they're all chasing Jalen Hurts in the 5th stacked up.
Yeah. No, I mean, like this, if you're gonna go with the the running back start, I do like giving yourself chances for dudes who just dominate targets. And Higgins, obviously, JSN certainly would have fit that. But it makes me like a little less interested in Jameson as like my wide receiver 2. I don't know. How do you think about that? Is that too specific?
Yeah, it wouldn't make me so much less interested in Jameson as my wide receiver 2. I get the logic. I just think we're going to have a lot more wide receivers who draft on this team,
That's
right?
true.
And they might have those profiles that you're talking about. Like
we might get a Jacoby Myers or something.
And who's to say like we don't end up with a Jerry Jeudy, or we don't end up, some of these guys that could really be like target hogs.
It's a good point.
So you know who else?
If I'm being honest,
you know who else falls often to me anyway? Is Luther Burden. Like he's a common slider in my drafts, and I was just from like the pre-draft research that I had done.
We're not taking Burden here yet, so
no.
Do Addison or Dunze, I think, or honestly Hubbard,
Chuba and Dunn.
You want to get weird?
Yeah, let's get weird, dude. This is an insane running back room.
I mean, we're scooping the ADP value.
Yep. This is just like the team that I did it with, where I had the 2 elite running backs early, and then Hubbard's here in the 5th. You're telling me he's just not going to have the role that he had this last year? Like,
yeah. And we don't take the running back in the 4th. We don't need it. And he's 3rd in the list in the sidekick. So it's like the way this thing's built is like these are good picks at the top. It's not a like
the police are not going to come and arrest you if you don't take the first guy.
Yeah, exactly. So here's our new rankings based on this, and it's like it's probably prudent to most of the time take a receiver because you started running back, but Hubbard sitting there at 3rd, and it's going to change your build going forward. But man, I don't know. Are we should this just be our new thing? We just take running backs early?
We're just robust RB bros. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, the only time the police are going to come is if Drake May is top guy and you don't take him. We do have it set up so the sidekick does dial emergency services if you don't click Drake May.
It's min 1 Drake May. We do have that coded in.
Yeah, if he's the top guy. Sometimes we'll let you pass on him, but if he's at the top.
If he's at the top, the sidekick just blanks out other than Drake May. Yeah.
Yeah, I do kind of like this setup too, because we're really ambiguous with our, like, we don't have great quarterback stacks set up right here. Like we could, Bryce Young has been climbing a bunch, so he's kind of harder to do with Chuba. I mean, Goff is going to be on the table with Gibbs, but he goes a little earlier in that like pocket of quarterbacks. And then we've got 2 guys that are either free agent or rookie, and so I think what we're going to end up with here is we'll probably have May, and then we'll probably end up just kind of doing some late quarterback stuff and setting up some back stacks here. And we're probably going to take a ton of receivers. I would think
we're going to take a lot of receivers for sure.
What do you think? Like minimum 8, probably 9 with how we're set up?
We should add a shaking feature anytime you don't. If May's top guy and you don't take him, anytime you take someone below May, it should just shake.
We could also do the thing like the screensaver where it bounces around to the corners when there's a guy at the top that we really don't like.
Look
when
at
it's a
this,
gross
all
guy.
receivers on here. There's
Yeah.
all receivers.
I
Hey,
mean, look at Draft has been really cooperative with us, though. Look, like they're taking Kenneth Walker and Amarian Hampton and Travion Henderson. They're getting all the running backs out so we can have the receivers fall to us.
yeah, ultra fragile. I don't think we're done. I think we take another running back. I think we go running back
yeah.
here.
Right now, we're saving our appetite. We're gonna have running back dessert later, and it's gonna be one of these really high upside guys that we like.
We could even go 5 if we go late enough.
Yeah,
I think that's fine too. But max 5, I would say.
Yeah.
All right, Sack, moment of truth. Are you down to take Jerry Jeudy?
Oh my God, yeah. Yes, absolutely. Listen,
this guy didn't try. He quits
the Jerry Jeudy hate, I feel like was very, very reasonable last year. I mean, if you look at how the year started for Jerry,
reasonable.
It was. Okay, we're saved. We're saved from Jerry Jeudy.
You can stop pretending. Luther Burden, you were talking about before. Do you like him here?
Yeah, I like him here. And we just talked about being a little more risk averse on Godwin. And also, like, Debo and Ayuk are not without risk either. So I'm totally fine taking Burden here.
Okay. I think we really want one of these vets to come back.
No, we want Jacoby Myers' ass pick to come back like 2 rounds from now.
Yeah.
You know, that'd be great.
Yeah. Godwin goes. Yeah, I think
even like a Josh Down 2 rounds from now. But yes,
Ridley and Debo are the guys I'm eyeing up right now.
Yeah, I'm even good with Jawan Jennings. I'm pretty Jawan Jennings pill.
Jawan Jennings is totally fine with me too. I don't think we want Ibuka here. We're just like too heavy on the rookies at that point.
Yeah, it's a little much.
If Ridley goes. I don't think we want Ayuk for the slow start risk. Shakir seems fine. You know,
I'm just worried that he might be more fragile.
I agree.
In this, like, I'm not saying, oh, we can never draft Shakir where we have him ranked. That's not what I'm saying. But in this team, with what we need right now, like, we definitely need some volume that we're going to feel comfortable with. At least in the early part of the season. And I'm just a little concerned that the Bills are not into the idea of Khalil Shakir volume hound. You know, that doesn't sound like plan A. They're not sitting around the table right now thinking, you know what we should do? Khalil Shakir is the backbone of our offense.
Debo seems pretty good here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're getting a discount. I think Debo's the pick here. Debo's not without risk. Right. I mean,
he's not. No, he might get traded.
Yeah, he could just be dusty, right? Like there's definitely some downside risk on Debo, but it's baked into the price here. Like that's the other thing that I think is pretty important. Like it's important to recognize downside, but you need to price it. Like you can't just be like, downside, no. Like just bake it into the price. Like it's okay. Players are allowed to have downside. And so here I feel like we were being properly compensated for the downside.
Yeah, and I mean, Debo's risky for this build because he might not be with Kyle Shanahan. And so it's now like, oh, how interested are we, if he leaves the nest? But there's like enough kind of Shanahan tree guys that you think like someone would have a role. Like what if he lands, are the Texans Shanahan tree anymore? But you know what I mean. There's kind of like offenses like that would probably utilize him in a similar way, and he just has such a long history of like his style of usage. So I think you would get a somewhat similar role in most offenses. But you could go to someone who just thinks they know how to use him and doesn't.
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of the downside risk with him a little bit, and then the other downside risk is that he just doesn't have it anymore. But it's probably something that we start to feel more as the season goes on, and hopefully Tet and Luther Burden.
Yeah, hopefully he can have some juice to start the year. Like a lot of these veterans do. A lot of the guys that were like, they're done. Then they come out to start the season shot out of a cannon. It's like, oh yeah, guys are kind of beat up after playing 17 games. Like makes sense. This comment, Shakir is the Bills' best wide receiver. You left off for now. Like there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen between now and September. Like I agree. I love Shakir. I was really into Shakir for the last couple of years and frustrated they didn't use him more, even when they had Diggs. But he is the best receiver for now, and that's the fragility that we're talking about.
Yep. I like this idea here of going with a Pearsall.
Oh yeah, I'd
Continue
be
to build
over
out
the
that
moon
bet.
if he comes back to us. But I think we're gonna have a hard time getting him past the Juwan Jennings drafter. This guy needs receivers, and
Yeah,
I don't know that he does have the Waddle and Achane stack, so it might have been an accident, but I would say it's more likely it's on purpose.
maybe he goes Purdy. I'd rather him. This is one of those things like, oh, you get sniped on stacks. I'd rather continue to build out the 49ers bet through Pearsall than
Purdy. Yeah, for Purdy. We have a strong need at wide receiver. Oh man, that's great. Here. And this is kind of when you think through the ways this can play out, this can play out a couple different ways that are really good for us. Number one is Ayuk's really slow to start the season, and it's Pearsall and Debo is with the 49ers, and they're the two guys.
You can see, by the way, the stacking component of the sidekick kind of playing in here, where he's not the guy we would normally have highest tier at receiver, but it's betting on Debo to be a 49er in that sense. Although, sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, you can get the run out where Ayuk's slow to start. You can also get a good run out where Debo goes to another team. It's beneficial, and now Pearsall assumes the role, right?
Right.
And so there's a couple different correlated ways that works out well for us.
Yeah, I mean, Pearsall, I think Juwan just showed so much this past year, and he's like their slot, and I think in a way, like, pretty protected. Like no matter what happens, I think Juwan's going to have a role, but Pearsall's pretty safe too as a first-round pick who showed that he could play at the end of the season.
Yeah,
so I don't think it's crazy to say you prefer Pearsall. He's a first-rounder. It's a little bit more boom bust, I think, but the boom could be pretty sweet. Yeah. Debo, I think, is likely gone, but it's not a guarantee. But he's a name that's been floated a lot as far as trade stuff goes.
And we actually just added a new feature to the Sidekick for guys that are likely gone or that are verified free agents, but Underdog still has them listed with their old team. I'll make sure we point it out when we get one of them that's actually ranked on the Sidekick here. But if you look at Brock Purdy at the top of the Sidekick, it says his name, then it says his team, and then it says his position. For guys that are free agents or that we deem more likely than not to be a free agent, we'll have a little parenthesis, like Devontae Adams.
Not technically free agent, but very likely to be cut.
Yeah, we'll have a parenthesis next to their team name that says free agent. And that's signifying to you, hey, the way the Sidekick is doing the math on this player is it's treating them like a free agent. So we have Debo currently being treated as a 49er, but it's probably
one's borderline.
It's borderline.
Borderline. Yeah. What do you think? We grab Purdy here?
Yeah, just because we're not passing on a wide receiver that I really feel like we need to have, right?
I agree.
If there was a good wide receiver left, like if Shaheed came back here, I think I'd probably say let's just push Purdy. If he doesn't come back, it's okay. But
yeah,
in this instance, I think we just take Purdy.
Yeah, I agree. And Golden is one of the options here at receiver. We already have 2 rookies, which is fine. I mean, we will probably take another rookie.
We're probably going to get at least one more rookie.
Yeah, but it's not like a priority. We're like, man, this room could really use some end of the season upside. Like, no, it's got that. it might need some more kind of boring guys. Keenan Allen here, you can see on the Sidekick at the bottom. Chicago, in parentheses, free agent. He is a free agent. He is not under contract for 2025 with Chicago, but currently listed by Underdog as being, I'm sure they'll change it once free agency rolls around. But that just shows you that we're treating him like you're not going to get. If you have Caleb, it's not going to be pushing Keenan Allen. All right. Starting to see some running backs go off. Najee, this is about as early as I've seen Najee.
He's climbs up. Him and we're all trying to find the guy who did this, but him and ETN have both been screaming up
and
a
Pacheco. I
lot.
mean, these were not good prices. I wouldn't even call them prices exactly because they just kind of came in. But Najee's a free agent, and there's just like the rookie running backs. I mean, he could hit the nuts with
What if
not
Najee
a
goes?
Najee guy,
What if
but
he's the lead running back at the Chargers? What if the Chargers
yeah.
sign Najee, and then they draft like a day 3 guy? Like, okay.
And it's one of the ways I think about something like that is I don't want to draft Najee. Like, I'm gonna puke if I have to draft Najee in the 4th round.
Right.
But what if that's where he goes, and I was too good to take Najee in the 9th or the 10th? Like, why? Why? I know that's a realistic possibility. Something I've been trying to get better at because I don't want to take Najee. Let's be honest. But if he goes here and I, take him, and I've actually been targeting him past this spot when he was going in the 120s, 130s. He was like a priority. But now I think it's totally fine. You keep taking him. You hope you hit the landing spot nuts. If you don't, and he ends up as like a 1B, well, this is kind of where we take 1Bs, or 1As. Like if he's the Zach Moss this year to a Chase Brown, maybe you don't love it, but it's certainly a justifiable price. And I think that's kind of is most likely the outcome, So you're getting that at a good price, and then you get the upside of what if he just lands somewhere amazing. And they do draft someone, but not until the 4th, and that guy sucks. And then all of a sudden it's Najee's backfield.
Yep.
Najee Cowboys. I mean, you have to. The rule that I'm trying to live by right now is you don't say the Cowboys because that's too easy. So the Chargers. I like that you went to the Chargers.
Yeah. No, the Cowboys. I mean, you got to think the Cowboys will do something even dumber. Like it's a Aaron Jones big multi-year deal. That's a Cowboys move. Najee could almost make sense for them.
That's a good comment.
Yeah. I mean, what would be really funny and very Jets is the Jets sign Najee and then draft another running back because the Jets seem like they are trying to collect running backs like Infinity Stones. Man, this price on Charbonnet is so absurd, but it's real. Okay, thank God
Yeah,
this guy
gone.
This guy fell on the grenade for us. I mean, Kyler is pretty good here at this price, and it opens up one of our favorite.
I prefer to have guys that we've stacked already.
You can do May here. I mean, you don't think we could just do? What do you think about Kyler here? May next round, done at quarterback.
Okay.
Because Kyler's a faller at ADP. We probably could still get May. Again, okay. I'm jinxing.
You can backstack Kyler a little. It has to be Michael Wilson.
Yeah, I'm just saying that Michael Wilson is kind of a good fit for us too, though. Like we need more bodies that are going to have a job at the start of the season. Like
totally. No, that was a good call because we can backstack, and we probably want 3 quarterbacks anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, Greg Dortch. What about Greg Dortch?
I think the Greg Dortch ship has sailed. Yeah, that one. I don't think we're coming back to Greg Dortch. Unfortunately, he was very fun. He was so fun to click last year.
He was fun. I went back and rewatched the Jonathan Gannon because in honor of I was showing Brittany the Liam Cohen.
Duval.
That's so bad. But I was like, this happens every year. Here's the Jonathan Gannon one. And it's as awkward. Because the thing is, the Jonathan Gannon one, he's like going around. He's like, I don't know. It's like someone let him in the building and he's like all hopped up on caffeine. And you're just like, these players are just like, oh God, like where is he? Like, make sure he's over there. Like, try to avoid going over there. He's going up to all the guys and he's just like, it's just the most awkward conversation. He's like hugging them and like hitting them in their chest and stuff. And then, of course, the Rondale Moore.
Well, your Drake May does get sniped here.
Damn it.
I think there's a couple different things you can do here.
I think Kirk.
You can do Kirk and it sets up. We get a Lawrence out that we add. And then also, we could end up doing something like Lawrence Evan Ingram in the next round. And Kirk
this is the boring guy that we need. We needed a little. We talked about some Jacoby Myers-esque picks. Well, he certainly fits.
This is discount Jacoby Myers now, which is funny because last year this was premium Jacoby Myers. Now it's discount Jacoby Myers.
Wait, 15 minutes of the Coach Speak Index. Oh, you're saying on a loop. You just watched it straight from. I need to see the. I need to check out the Coach Speak Index breakdown of that. I haven't yet, but that, I mean,
yeah, it wasn't great.
No, I recommend.
You think he went home from work that day and he was like, "Oh man, that was bad," or do you think he was like, "That went great. What a good day"?
No, I think he thought it was bad. I recommend. Greg Rosenthal had a good breakdown with Jordan Rodrigue. I want to say Connie Fox because that's her nickname on around the NFL. Help me out here, and Mina Kimes. And we they were just like breaking down the clip, but someone had clearly said to him, talk about Jacksonville. And he's like, Jacksonville, the community, Duval. Like he leads up and he thinks he's doing a thing. And then he like immediately like goes serious. He's like, how can we get there together? Like, no. You lost it. You lost it. Colleen Wolf is Connie Fox, by the way. It's a good breakdown. The four of them are having a ton of fun. Thank you, Charlie. Connie Fox is one of the best nicknames in the biz for a great reporter in the biz. All right, we got no tight ends, so Colston Loveland sitting at the top. And then some of these. Now, did Lawrence go? Yeah, he just went.
Lawrence went. So we're starting to get into the territory of quarterback where it's like you might need to reach, to secure a third guy.
You don't need a third guy with these two, though.
We don't need it. The other thing that I'd be considering here is I'm okay. I take Fields a little higher than we currently have him, and I don't really think our rank is incorrect on him. I'm just willing to make the bet and accept a little more risk that the Steelers bring back Fields and instead of Russ, because it sounds like they're going to do one of the two.
One of the two.
And the other rumor mill stuff that I've seen is that it sounds like Russ could be a Raider. So right. I'm wanting to just like lean into that like I'm right, and I'm taking Fields a little bit more aggressively than we have him. And he's one I'm fine taking naked or even throwing like a random Calvin Austin 20th round dart with. So he's kind of my emergency break glass if I want a third guy really bad.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's not mandatory to take a third quarterback.
It really isn't. I would prefer it, but I would have preferred it to be May or Lawrence with the stack,
right?
Potential stack with May. All right, we're on the clock. I think Colston Loveland here is kind of a smash.
Yeah, Loveland's a good pick.
First round pick, very likely. I don't really get the pretty big discount between him and Warren. Warren went 85 here. Warren's going to go first round. Really strong prospect. Will come in and contribute right away. He can block his ass off, and he can catch passes. And so I think the floor is higher on Warren. That explains some of the price difference. Loveland, more of like, I think at the NFL level, going to be like more of a pass catching guy. Not this is going to sell anyone, but more in the Dalton Kincaid mold. But
he is Kincaid.
What if it works? And yeah, I think at 140, he's a really strong pick.
Yeah, Warren is a do everything. Warren's like a don't come off the field type of tight end. Like he's big, he's 260. He's a former quarterback. He's got high football IQ. They used him everywhere too. Like he took wildcat snaps. I think there's going to be NFL teams that look at him and see what teams are doing with the tush push, and they're like, great, this solves our tush push problem. Like Tyler Warren can be our tush pusher. He can play tight end. So I'm into Warren, but yeah, Loveland at this price is a nice discount. I'm pretty into Restrepo here.
I'm into Restrepo too, man. Restrepo is, I think maybe this year's Pearsall.
Yeah. Really, really good comp.
Yeah.
He's not
go higher than people think.
He's not supposed to be like a burner, but I'll tell you, the only college football game that I watched from start to finish every snap last year was a Cal versus Miami game. And so
let me tell you guys, Sack did not come away impressed with Cam Ward.
No, I don't think I'll have any Cam Ward.
The one game scout did
one game
Ward.
scouting, Cam Ward's off my board. But I will say, so I see Xavier Restrepo this whole game, right? And Cal is in the game the entire way. I'm like, why is Miami ranked so high? But the one thing that's like driving me crazy is Cal keeps lining up like 10 yards off the line across from Restrepo. Like every play, it's 3rd and 5, doesn't matter. We're 10 yards off the line. It's like, what are they doing? They keep giving this guy these easy, like, keep checking down him for an easy first down. What are they doing? And I think there was literally one play where the guy covering him was like closer than 10 yards and he got absolutely torched. It was like the big game breaking play near the end of the game where Restrepo gets like this monster gain on him. It's like, oh, okay, that's why we were giving this guy space. So he might not be a burner, but he definitely he's good. Like
I think he's
I'm
pretty
into
good.
his
He's kind of smooth route runner guy. Doesn't like really pop. Is like I don't think he's the route runner high end comp from last year would be Lad. I don't think it's like that, but I think he's more like he's going to be a guy who a lot of offenses are like we know we can plug this guy in and he's going to consistently win, and probably a little lower ceiling than a Lad. More kind of you're hoping for a couple spike weeks and landing in a better spot than Pierce. Also, he contributes more, but guy who's probably going to play a lot from the slot, but consistently beating coverage is the hope for Restrepo. And I think he's a pretty good bet to go day 2 with round 2 pretty live. And I wouldn't say he's like a total 0 to go round 1. Unlikely, but I wouldn't say it's like he's in the 1% to 2% range maybe.
Yeah, I mean, guys surprise us every year. We get guys that sneak into the first round. I was cracking up at this comment. I was trying to hold it together.
We do need it. Just
That'd
like
be
even
so
a half would be good. Just like turn it off. Like this guy sucks.
It's just 3 snaps. Like I've seen enough.
Yeah. Do we think Cam Ward runs it all around the goal line? I do. He seemed to have a nose for the end zone as a runner. I think he adds some value there. But he's not. He's a pocket passer as far as like NFL archetype goes, I think. But he'll rush for some touchdowns. So yeah, not a 0. But generally, like Burrow's a pocket passer, but he'll add a little with his legs. I think maybe in that kind of mold. There goes Cam Ward. Coker.
Yeah, I like Coker here. He's fun as a guy to emerge in that offense, and yep. I certainly think he should have a job starting the season.
Royals I'd float if we didn't have so many rookies.
Right. I'm in the same boat.
I like
Hunter Henry would have been a great pick if we had Drake May.
Well, he still is a good pick.
His
ADP is another. I mean, by ADP, Coker's the guy to grab now.
Yeah.
I think it's nice to get some of these second-year guys. So the sidekick look. I mean, check this out. Right, we went. Let's review the start. We went running back, wide receiver, running back. And so it's been a lot of receivers along the way. But we're now we got 8 receivers. We didn't completely punt receiver. We took 5 through the first 8 rounds. And so, yeah, we're actually in a pretty good spot.
We dug ourselves out. Yeah.
We dug ourselves out. Yeah. Now we could take more, but we don't have to.
I think now it's just kind of it's the best we can kind of lean into what are the best picks here.
Yeah.
I'm pretty into getting a guy like Henry, where, if we knew 100% Zach Ertz was going to be back, I think we'd probably have him similar to Henry, but there is still, he's a free agent. He's older. There's some risk. So I do like Henry a lot here since we have Loveland just to kind of give us some cushion for if Loveland's a slow start.
I think Schultz is nice too for kind of the same.
Yeah. I'm more into Henry, less into Schultz. But I think it might just more be personal bias than anything. I think Henry's a better football player than Dalton Schultz. I think that's a little bit of the bias. But if Houston increases their pass volume next year, that could be a pretty big boon for Schultz. And we don't know for sure that Diggs is going to be back. I don't think they want plan A to be that Dalton Schultz is their third pass catcher here, but Tank Dell's probably not playing at all next year, or at least till very late. So
yeah, I think Hunter Henry's.
I would do Henry here.
Yeah,
and then now we're kind of on the prowl for if a third quarterback can find their way into our lives, then I'm okay with it. But if we don't get one, then
I
we're
don't think we'll end up
basically
with one.
then I think that kind of gives us latitude to take a fourth tight end. If
If
there's
we
a
want
fourth
to,
one that
yeah,
we want,
for
it
sure.
lets us get deeper at wide receiver or add a couple more running back dart throws. So I think this is going to be a pretty fun build. Actually, I'm
Yeah,
excited to
I
see
know.
how this
I'm gonna like doing
finishes
that.
up.
A couple questions. Sidekick factor and portfolio balance, or is it draft specific? It is draft specific, but it's built to diversify the rankings a little bit so that you're not gonna in the same spots always have the same guy at the top, because some of these guys we have ranked like very close to one another, and they're not like, we don't have. But once you say like this guy's 150th and this guy's 151st, it's like, should that always be the case? Or and so we kind of have some of that logic built in, so
Yeah,
that it mixes it up, so that if you are doing a number of drafts with it, you'll kind of naturally diversify some of those spots. But it is not a tool where you upload your exposures or anything like that. Yeah, it's just
yeah.
draft specific.
The diversification is generative. So if you started from zero and built your whole portfolio out using the sidekick to help you, we're going to help you build a diversified portfolio all the way through from start to finish. It's not
Yeah,
something where if had 100 drafts already done and then you get the sidekick and you're saying, well, I want to make sure I'm taking this in consideration. It's not something where we're having you upload your exposures and we're going to dock guys or boost guys based on that.
yeah.
Um,
And another
so
way, if you really wanted to kind of make sure your exposures were going to be like very flat, you could upload different rankings, because it does support custom rankings. So there's going to be built-in guys that we like. Like we do have opinions, so that you're going to have guys built in there you're going to be more likely to take. And if you were to kind of mix up the ranking set, that would further diversify as well. I
there's
think
two.
Harold Fannin is pretty nice here.
Yeah, and then I would say I want to talk through the next pick too. There's two guys I really like for our next pick. One's Wandale and one's Michael
Mhm.
Wilson. So I think we probably just take Fannin here and then hope that one of those two comes back
I,
to
I,
us.
I like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, show them toggling to just drafting by ADP though. Like if you really believe that the market is super efficient, you can just switch to ADP. And now
That's true too.
we pulled the leg up rankings out now. And this is just saying the leg up rankings don't know better than the market. Let me just draft good correlated teams that are considering draft capital. They're well constructed. I'm diversifying still just based on ADP. That's what this setting is. So
Yeah,
I
we're
don't
not that hot
typically.
on Pop, as Arm Covers points out. Pop could be a pick. We're not that hot on him because there's so much the Patriots could do, including bringing in a guy like Chris Godwin, or a guy like Christian Kirk if he's cut. Right? There's
Keenan Allen. Yeah, they have so
Keenan
much cap
Allen.
space.
Yeah,
You could see literally all three of the Patriots starting receivers may not currently be on the roster.
but if you do like him, as the market does, that would be, here on ADP, he's the top receiver. We go to leg up rankings. It won't be Michael Wilson because he just went. It's Troy Franklin and Tez Johnson. So that's another way to use it. Here, I think we probably want to. I'm kind of torn on what direction we head here. I think you could argue that taking a running back flyer would be interesting.
Yeah, Jordan Mason is kind of fun. I've been mixing between Mason and Garendo
Brendo.
because I think it's pretty ambiguous there who it is. But I mean, think through. We've got the 49ers team stack here.
Yeah.
Pretend it's no CMC and Jordan Mason is just back to his role from last year. Like, and this is our running back room we get to do it with. Like, my goodness, that might be
That is
fun.
pretty fun. All right, let's do this. Mason, is he a free agent? Let's see. Well, we're gonna take him and then we'll find out after. I think he was restricted, but I might be wrong.
He is a restricted free agent. So yeah,
Restricted free agent.
he is very likely to be back with the 49ers.
Yeah. So I don't know the idea. I guess could be that they don't give him any tag, but given the role he played and him being pretty reliable, my guess is that they do tag him. Most of these
Right.
restricted free agents do get tagged because it's like right of first refusal by the team.
Yep.
Jalen Warren, I believe, is also a restricted free agent, so he's not technically signed with the Steelers, but restricted free agents, it doesn't always happen. I think was Jeff Wilson restricted. Sometimes they get let go. Maybe it was Matt Breida. Sometimes they get let go, but a lot of times the restricted free agents, most of the time, because it's a good deal for the team. It's like it's a team option basically.
Yeah, because the restricted free agent just basically says like, if you go, look what the market's offering you, we get the chance to match it too. So,
well, yeah, and you can do a bigger tag with restricted free
Right.
agent. You can do like a right of first refusal tag where they get to match whatever you get. You can also do a tag where like if
it's a first round tender or a second round
tender, and so that would mean that you'd get compensation back if you signed with someone else. The reason not to do that is you have to pay more for that.
Yeah.
So it's about how much you value, how much risk you want to take as the team that someone else comes in and scoops this guy. So that's kind of how it works. But yeah, I would kind of call it a team option.
I see a guy here that I would be pretty excited to take as kind of our last running back dart throw, but I'm curious. Oh, well, he goes here. I was kind of into Damian Martinez as our last
I would have been too. I think I like Tez Johnson here or Will Dissly, given that we have two rookies. I don't think we need to go with Arroyo.
Yeah, Disley's fine. I'm fine with Tez Johnson. We also have Tyler Higbee, who I think we might want to move up just a touch. Now, I think we were initially a little we were just trying to bake in some risk on Higbee that Stafford wouldn't be there. But I think it's sounding more likely that Stafford's going to be back. And
I don't know. It sounds like they might, like they're very open to trading him.
Yeah,
he's not going to retire. But I don't know that he's a Ram.
That's fair. Yeah. I'm fine with, if Disley goes, I'm fine with Gesicki too. I think his most likely landing spot is probably the Bengals, but I don't think it's a majority that it's the Bengals.
Who?
Gesicki.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's a majority, but most likely is. I agree with that assessment. Yeah. I kind of wish Damian Martinez had made it back. He's like the perfect quarterback 5 on this team,
right? Because
I'm actually going to pitch someone else.
Okay. I want to. This is awesome because we've done the rankings together. We've talked through all these profiles, but then when you're in drafts and rubber meets the road, it is a little different when you're like knitting the fabric together for the whole team, and you're like, God, what would Pat think about this guy versus that guy? And so this is the spot in the draft where a lot of them are really close, and I'm interested to see if you would pick the same guy I would pick here. My thought process, without tipping my hand on who I would be selecting, is I'm interested in a running back where like I need raw nasty ceiling. I don't need like this guy could work into a third down role. Like he might catch some passes. Like I need a guy that could take the whole damn thing if it breaks right for him. I don't need it to happen very often, but I need, when this happens, I'm in the fantasy playoffs and I have 4 of the top 6 projected running backs on the week. I have a freaking juggernaut, and you're just like, how is this team in my pod? Like, what's going on?
So I think with this pick, we could go Disley. We could go Gabe Davis is kind of that like Michael Wilson pick that we never got. And then we could go with the running back. What would you prefer?
Gosh. I think we go Disley here.
We have a pretty good tight end.
Actually, yeah, let's do Gabe Davis, because if we don't get a tight end, it's not the end of the world, right?
Yeah. I think we're probably, I mean, like this is a room, we have Henry, and then we have like 2 really strong rookies.
2 of what should be the top 3 tight end picks in the class, based on the current mock drafts.
Right. So, yeah, and then we go with a guy who just went. So we should have taken Khalil Mullings because that's who.
That's who I was. Okay, cool. All right, we were on the same page at least.
That's a
But yeah,
bummer. You should have just taken Mullings.
It's Mullings over Brashad Smith here because
Yes,
Mullings.
because of the he's just got. I think he's going to run pretty well. Like I think he'll be in the 4.5s, and he's like 220 pounds, and just like a downhill runner. Just like that's downhill immediately. I do think there's another guy we can take.
I do too. Yeah, there's one. There's one more.
There's actually a couple more.
Yeah, that is the thing about. I mean, you should basically always save room for running back dessert on with the way that ADPs are right now. I mean, we did talk about like there are some wide receivers that have started creeping into like Jalen Noel, Torrey Horton, Tez Johnson. Like all these guys are starting to be a little bit more attractive. But man, I do really like throwing in these running backs. You know who else I think we might want to?
Arroyo might overtake Fannin. That is true, but Arroyo has no college production, and Fannin was like dominant for 2 years as a tight end in a college offense. A smaller school, Bowling Green, but doesn't happen a lot. So I'd like Arroyo. I'm intrigued by him, but I still like, and especially at tight end. Like, what if Arroyo goes early third and Fannin goes late third? I'm going to prefer Fannin. Like,
right.
I just will. You know, it's the production. If Arroyo goes late third and Fannin goes early fourth, I still probably prefer Fannin. It's
the mock draft database has Fannin going pretty early though. I don't know. Have you seen the consensus big board for them?
He didn't have a great start to the Senior Bowl. It seems like maybe he picked it up. And I was looking at some of the tracking data, like in terms of like miles per hour and stuff. He had the fourth fastest miles per hour recorded by a tight end going back to 2018 when they started recording this stuff at the Senior Bowl. He had the fourth fastest acceleration, and he had like the ninth fastest deceleration, and he led all the 2025 tight ends in explosive efforts, which are plays where you have a high acceleration and deceleration on the same play. So it's like he couldn't have been that bad. You know, he was moving around pretty fast. So I don't know. I think I do think it's quite possible Arroyo, who was really impressing as a route runner, passes him. But,
okay, so I want to guess.
Production matters.
I'm trying to guess here. Are you looking? So you're thinking a running back here, right?
Yeah, running back.
And now I'm wondering, are you wanting the guy who's gotten the little bit of Senior Bowl steam and scout buzz, or are you wanting the guy that I think you preferred initially more? I'm going to go with the guy that I think you initially preferred more of Raheem Sanders, but you are going with the steam candidate of Trevor Etienne.
Trevor Etienne, yeah.
Talk me into Trevor Etienne, because when we first talked about him, I don't think you were super bullish. But it's been a while since we very first talked about Trevor Etienne.
I wasn't super bullish, but he's a guy who I think looked pretty solid at Senior Bowl and was hurt in his final. So heading into the season, let me see if I can find. I'll pull it. I'm going to dig around in my my Underdog, and if I can find it, I'll share it. But heading into the season, he was like pretty highly regarded, and what the draft that I'm going to be looking for is one that I did with Proton, the only one that I did with Proton, which should make it easier to find, where we looked at the college football. Yeah, okay, so I got it here. Let me share this screen. All right, I'm going to share my other screen here, and this one has the team I drafted with Froton, where I didn't know what I was doing, which is why Froton was with me along for the ride, just kind of telling me what he thought. So we got DJ Giddens. Let me see, this didn't advance. How do I check the board now?
Oh, up at the top.
Oh, up here. Yeah, here we go. Thank you. Share this tab instead. All right. So we took Trevor Etienne in the 5th round of this draft. Got Travis Hunter. Proton knows what he's doing. Jaden Ott, who went back to school. DJ Giddens, who's, obviously lost a little bit of steam as well. But, Devin Neal or Marion Hampton. Ollie Gordon was the 2nd pick. He had a really, really bad season. But, yeah, I mean, this is shaken up quite a bit. But Trevor Etienne was, a guy we took not too far behind Travion Henderson here.
Okay, yeah.
went ahead of Cam
Had a
Scatterbo,
Scatterbo,
Dylan Sampson. So, way ahead of other kind of later dart throw names like a Jarquez Hunter. Katron Allen had a good season, went back to school. There's Raheem Sanders. So anyway, this doesn't mean all that much, but it was interesting that ETN was like, okay, this guy could make some noise this year. Didn't do anything, kind of fell behind some other guys, and had a really disappointing year, but dealt with some injuries. And so maybe the bull case is he's healthy. He looked pretty solid. He catches some passes. He's kind of versatile. And I think he could have like a good off season where he's able to improve his draft stock a little bit and ends up being probably like an early day 3 guy in a bull case. Nothing crazy. But kind of like Khalil Mullings, where you're like, this guy is more talented than you would think from what's on tape. In Mullins' case, because he was a converted linebacker, so there's just not that much tape on him. And with ETN, as they dealt with injuries in his final season, but then maybe impresses people here in workouts. But we'll see. I kind of enjoy mixing him in. My general theory is mix these guys up. So we took Brashard Smith in the first one. I've taken Mullings a bunch. I've taken Damian Martinez, a huge back who can get moving. I think you want to mix up these bets, not end up with a huge bag of any of them. But the ship chasing hat, someone says they want, that's in our store, the ship chasing store. So it is available for purchase. But I think directionally some of these rookie flyers are going to hit, but you just want to make sure you're mixing up the bets.
Yep. Yeah. No need to be overly precise, right? It only takes one team to take it down. You don't need to have 50% RJ Harvey like I think I currently have. You can mix it up, take a little Trevor Etienne here and there. And I don't think I've taken very much of him yet. So I'm glad that I got to get your updated opinion on him here.
Yeah. It's going to keep updating as well. So that's the way this is going to work. Here, I'm going to send, let me see if I can find this hat real quick. Send a link to it. But yeah, we should get out of here. Thanks for jumping on with me, Sack, and doing a few drafts through the link to this hat in the chat. If anyone wants the hat. Let's see. We'll answer a couple of questions before we get it. How many running backs are expected to go before 214? Probably 2 to 3. Genty for sure. Probably one more in like the late first, early second round range, and then potentially a third guy before the 14th pick. TreVeyon Henderson is one of the guys very live to go first round.
He's fun. He's really fun.
Is real. Yeah. In a class, I mean, Genty's really fast. I think he could be sub 4.4. Maybe Sampson's sub 4.4. I don't know. He looks more like in the 4.4s to me, but he had really good numbers as a track runner in high school and stuff. So maybe he's sub 4.4. But I think Henderson is sub 4.4. I think he's in the 4.3s, and that gets you drafted high. So
yeah, that does move the needle at running back.
Yeah.
He's not too small too. He's not a tiny.
He's not too small.
Yeah,
he's well above 200, like 209, 208. No, he can bend runs at full speed. It reminds me a little like Darren McFadden. He's very fun. All right, we're gonna get out of here. Before we do want to mention again that we have links for the Sidekick down below, and we've lowered the monthly price to $99 because we got the big board here, and the big board is for the hardcore drafters, but they don't have all the full slate of drafts that we're gonna have this summer. So to reflect that, drop down the price for $99. Hope we get some more of you guys testing out the Sidekick. Let us know what you think. Jump in the Legendary Upside Discord, which you'll get access to as part of signing up. Sidekick subscription gets you access to all of Leg Up's content as well, all the written content, and all the rankings and all that good stuff. So hope to see you guys over there. Thanks again for watching. we'll be back next week, streaming some more drafts. I'm sure a ton will have changed, even though we're in the dead of winter. But we'll see you then. Have a good weekend.